Police! Stay where you are! Stay where you are, police! Madam, is your phone missing? You've got a phone. Oh, stay there, police. At this point, you're under arrest for theft. The reason I'm arresting you is we just found a stolen phone on you, and I've witnessed you put your hand in that victim's pocket, okay?
Every 7 minutes in London, someone's phone vanishes. But it's not just a gadget. It's an entire life, stolen in seconds. Behind the chaos of the streets lurks a mafia, one that has built an empire on our secrets. A war has begun, and no one knows how it will end. August 30th, 2024. Friday, just before noon. The streets around Oxford Circus are swarming with people, tourists, office workers, a restless crowd moving in every direction. For a thief, it's the perfect cover, and for Soufiane Haddad, it was the moment he had been waiting for. He pushed against the flow, his eyes locked on a single target, the pocket of a renowned Egyptian cardiac surgeon visiting London for a holiday. To Haddad, this man wasn't a person. He was nothing more than a vessel carrying something of value, a brand new smartphone. One swift move, a hand trained by repetition, sliding with surgical precision. In a heartbeat, the phone was his, hidden in his palm, already halfway to disappearing into the crowd. Haddad thought he'd won. He thought he was invisible, but he wasn't. Two figures stepped out from the chaos, shadows in plain clothes. They didn't speak. They didn't warn. In seconds, Haddad was on the ground, face pressed to the cold pavement. The phone lay beside him, silent proof of his failure. What he didn't know was that every step he had taken was being tracked. For minutes, undercover officers from London's Metropolitan Police had stalked him through the crowd, waiting for the moment he made his move. This arrest wasn't chance. It was a message. The first shot in a hidden war. A war the police had quietly declared against the street gangs who had turned London's busiest heart into their private hunting ground. The arrest of Soufiane Haddad was nothing more than a small victory against something much bigger. What was happening in London could no longer be dismissed as a string of isolated crimes. It was an epidemic. The data collected by the Metropolitan Police painted a grim picture of a city infected with a new kind of plague. Nearly 80,000 phones stolen in just 1 year. That's one device every 7 minutes. More than 200 phones every single day. By the time you pour your morning coffee, someone on the London Underground or on a bus has already lost the key to their digital life. The value of what was stolen, £50 million, the budget of a small hospital gone into the pockets of thieves. This wasn't petty crime, it was an industry, one that had swallowed the capital and crowned it Europe's phone theft capital. The headlines screamed failure, politicians under fire, a police force branded powerless. London's reputation as one of the world's safest global cities was crumbling in real time. And yet, this was no shadow war fought in dark alleys. It was something far more brazen, a relentless assault carried out on the city's brightest, busiest streets, in broad daylight, in front of hundreds of witnesses too distracted or too afraid to intervene. A silent war, but one leaving scars that London could no longer ignore. Who were the new rulers of London's streets? Their faces were rarely seen, hidden behind helmets and balaclavas. They moved like ghosts through traffic, mounted on roaring mopeds and near-silent modified e-bikes, predators built for the concrete jungle. Their tactics were brutally simple and terrifyingly effective. Working in pairs, they stalked their prey, a pedestrian distracted by a message, a map, or a call. One drove, the other struck. A sudden lunge, a precise snatch. 2 seconds at most, and it was over. The victim barely had time to register the attack before the thieves were gone, swallowed by the city, vanishing into side streets too narrow for police cars, weaving through traffic like shadows. Their hunting grounds, London's busiest districts, Westminster, Camden, Hackney, places where locals and tourists alike let their guard down, eyes fixed on glowing screens, oblivious to the predators circling around them. These gangs operated with cold precision, their robberies running like clockwork, a production line of crime. Every grab rehearsed, every escape route memorized. They weren't just thieves, they were an army of shadows, and they held an entire city in fear. It didn't take long for police, or the victims, to realize the truth. The thieves weren't hunting for expensive devices. They were hunting for the keys to an entire life. In today's world, a smartphone isn't just a phone. It's a bank, a photo album, a diary, an office. To lose it is to lose control over your entire existence. The moment a phone fell into criminal hands, the clock began ticking. Their first move, break into banking apps, draining accounts before the victim could freeze their cards. Then came the personal data. Photos, videos, private conversations, all transformed into currency on the black market, or weapons for blackmail, identity theft, financial fraud, a violation of the most intimate corners of a life. That was the true prize behind every phone snatched from a hand on a London street. The resale value of the device itself was trivial. The real profit lay in what it contained. Criminals knew this. They weren't stealing gadgets. They were stealing lives. And that's what made these crimes not just ruthless, but devastatingly profitable. When it became clear that traditional patrols were failing, Scotland Yard resorted to extreme measures. They unleashed the Invisible Guardians, elite undercover squads whose mission wasn't to react to crimes, but to stop them before they happened. They dressed as tourists, office clerks, students. They sipped coffee in cafes, rode on buses, blended into the chaos of Oxford Street. But beneath the disguise, their eyes were trained to detect what the average passerby would never notice. A darting glance, an unnatural hand movement, an interest in pockets that weren't their own. These officers were psychologists, actors, hunters. They themselves became bait, luring thieves into making a move. It was dangerous, exhausting work that demanded razor-sharp instincts and nerves of steel. They were hunters disguised as prey, drawing out predators who believed they had found an easy mark. And slowly, the balance shifted. The streets once claimed by gangs became a vast, silent trap. And the thieves who thought they ruled London started getting caught in their own game. The war wasn't only being fought on the streets. A second, invisible front had opened in the digital world. Here, the soldiers were not police officers, but engineers at Apple and Google, locked in a technological arms race with organized crime. Their mission: transform the most desirable object of theft into nothing more than a useless slab of glass and plastic. And so, new defenses were born. True digital fortresses. Artificial intelligence capable of recognizing the sharp, unnatural movement of a snatch and instantly locking the device. Security protocols that prevented thieves from disconnecting a phone from the network or resetting it to factory settings without the owner's approval. Find My iPhone evolved into more than a tracking tool. It became a weapon, not only helping victims locate their devices, but also providing critical evidence against the very gangs who had stolen them. every software update added new walls, new moats around the treasure that lived inside our phones, our identities, our money, our memories. The goal was clear: to kill the business at its core. Because if a phone can't be hacked, can't be resold, and can't be stripped for value, then stealing it is nothing but a pointless risk. Technology was striking at the very heart of the criminal business model, and for the first time, the thieves began to realize the rules of the game were changing. As detectives dug deeper into the wave of street thefts, they realized they were pulling on threads that led to something far bigger. Every trail pointed to a single man, a spider at the center of a vast criminal web. His name was Zachary Saiki. He never dirtied his hands on the streets. His weapons weren't knives or mopeds. They were spreadsheets, logistics chains, and international contacts. From a modest house in Cricklewood, he ran the nerve center of an empire. Thousands of stolen phones from across London funneled into this unremarkable address. Inside, they were sorted, wrapped in foil to block tracking signals, and prepared for their final journey, smuggled overseas, most often to Algeria. Once across borders, far beyond the reach of European databases and police, the devices were reborn, wiped clean, resold at enormous markups. Saiki had built a criminal corporation that ran with the precision of a Swiss watch, a business model so efficient it rivaled drug trafficking in profitability, but carried only a fraction of the risk. What the police had once thought was the work of scattered street gangs was in truth the face of something much darker, a centralized, organized mafia hiding in plain sight. If Zachary Saiki was the general of this shadow army, then men like Sonny Stringer were its elite soldiers. Stringer was no ordinary pickpocket. He was a virtuoso of street crime, a high-tech predator whose weapon of choice was a powerful, near-silent Sur-Ron e-bike. His efficiency stunned even hardened detectives. CCTV analysis revealed that in a single night, Stringer could carry out more than 20 successful snatches. He worked alone, no backup, no crew, just speed, audacity, and an intimate knowledge of London's maze of backstreets. For him, theft wasn't a crime, it was a job. He felt no fear, no remorse. Each snatch was just another transaction. Each phone, nothing more than a bundle of cash. Sonny Stringer embodied the new breed of criminal born from the smartphone era. Ruthless, fearless, and dangerously efficient. But men like him were also the fuel that kept Zachary Saiki's empire running. Every night, Stringer risked his freedom to keep the warehouses stocked with fresh loot. And in return, he received only a fraction of the true profit his stolen goods generated overseas. He was the perfect soldier for a perfect machine. A machine that turned London streets into a marketplace of stolen lives. The police knew that winning this war required more than quiet arrests. They needed spectacles, bold public takedowns that sent a clear message. The streets no longer belonged to the thieves. Their chance came at London Bridge. Plainclothes officers, patrolling in an unmarked car, witnessed a scene that had become all too familiar. A thief snatching a phone and bolting into the crowd. On any other day, he might have vanished, but not this time. The driver behind the wheel was no ordinary cop. With split-second calculation, he read the thief's escape route and made a daring move. A sharp turn, a risky maneuver across busy traffic, and then impact. The car blocked the fugitive's path. The thief had no time to think, no way to run. He crashed into the vehicle and was instantly tackled by officers who burst out from the doors. From theft to takedown, it was over in less than a minute, and the cameras were rolling. The footage went viral, a shot across the bow of every gang operating in the city. It carried a simple, chilling message. The police are everywhere. The person next to you in traffic. The stranger at a cafe table. The quiet figure in the crowd. The trap had closed. The thieves were growing bolder, and soon they made the mistake that would thrust their crimes into the national spotlight. This time, they picked the wrong target. Their victim was Chris Webb, a sitting member of Parliament, and the theft didn't happen in some back alley. It happened just steps away from the Palace of Westminster, the heart of British democracy, one of the most heavily guarded locations in the world. A group of riders on e-bikes surrounded him. In seconds, his iPhone was gone. The incident was more than a robbery. It was an insult, a slap in the face to the entire system of law and order. If even a government official wasn't safe outside Parliament's gates, what chance did ordinary Londoners have? The story exploded across every major news outlet. Parliament went on high alert. Warnings were issued to MPs. The message was clear. No one was untouchable. The theft landed like a bombshell. It shattered the illusion that some areas were safe, or that status offered protection. The wave of crime didn't recognize borders. It didn't respect power. Everyone was at risk. And in the aftermath, the pressure on authorities became unbearable. The time for half measures was over. The state had to strike back harder than ever before. With London's streets turned into a battlefield, every resident and visitor needed their own survival code. Police and security experts put together a set of simple but vital rules that could mean the difference between safety and disaster. Rule 1. Awareness. Don't be an easy target. Keep your phone out of sight in crowded areas or near busy roads. Don't show it off unless absolutely necessary. And if you need to check a map or make a call, step aside to a safe spot, preferably with your back against a wall. Rule 2. Digital hygiene. Your phone must be locked down with a strong passcode, fingerprint, or facial recognition. Never disable tracking or remote wipe functions. These features are your lifeline, the only way to cut off thieves before they dig into your data. Rule 3. Know the territory. Study the crime map. Learn the hotspots. In areas like Westminster, Camden, or Hackney, heightened vigilance is not paranoia. It's survival. Rule 4. Act fast. If your phone is stolen, don't wait. Block your SIM card. Lock the device. Report the crime. Every minute you hesitate is a minute the thieves gain access to your digital life. This code is simple. But in a city under siege by phone thieves, following it could be the one thing that saves you from losing far more than just a device. Months of surveillance, risky undercover operations, endless hours of painstaking analysis. In the end, it all paid off. The time for reckoning had come. One by one, the members of London's phone theft empire found themselves in the dock. At the top sat Zachary Saiki, the spider at the center of the web, the mastermind who turned stolen phones into an international empire. His punishment was fitting. 8 years behind bars. His criminal kingdom, built on thousands of stolen lives, collapsed overnight. Then came Sonny Stringer, the so-called soldier of fortune, who bragged about his nightly records of thefts. The court stripped him of his bravado with a 2-year prison sentence. Even the foot soldiers like Sofiane Haddad weren't spared. Each received their share of justice. The trials were splashed across headlines, watched by a public hungry for accountability. But these verdicts were more than punishments. They were messages. The game was over. The police had proven they could do more than chase petty street thieves. They could infiltrate, dismantle, and destroy entire organized networks, no matter how well hidden or well structured. From the top of the chain to the very bottom, the long arm of the law reached them all. And in that moment, justice was served. London's war against phone gangs is a story without an ending. For every crew dismantled, a new one rises, bolder, faster, hungrier. The faces change, but the game stays the same. And yet, the balance of power has shifted. Police have grown sharper, their methods more sophisticated. Technology has advanced, turning every stolen phone into a ticking time bomb for criminals. And the public, scarred by endless headlines and viral videos, has become more alert, more cautious. It's a constant chess match played on the city's streets. Each move by law enforcement forces the gangs to adapt. Each new tactic by thieves pushes police to raise the stakes again. But the question lingers: can this war ever truly be won? Or is phone theft now a permanent fixture of urban life? Another risk, like traffic or pollution, that comes with living in a global metropolis. The answer isn't clear. For now, Londoners walk their streets knowing the danger is never far, even if the shadows are a little quieter tonight. Because in this city, the fight is far from over. But what about justice? What do you think of these criminals and the sentences they received? Were the punishments truly fair, or far too lenient for the damage they caused? Did the years handed down by the judge send a strong enough message to the streets of London? Or did they barely scratch the surface of a much deeper problem? In the end, the question remains: is justice measured by years behind bars, or by whether the city ever feels safe again?